Hey Alaska, Dan Sullivan here, providing a little bit of an update from DC, but actually heading home in about 2 hours. So looking forward to it. We have our work session over August. I'm going to be pretty much home the entire time. Can't wait. Going to get out to all our many different communities, try to see as many folks as possible, get incoming, hear what you're focused on, ideas. Certainly will be at the fair, which love to do that every year. So really looking forward to getting home. An update on a couple things going on here. We worked late into the evening last night to pass the Senate version of what's called the National Defense Authorization Act. This is the NDAA, as we call it, the bill that funds the military, sets the policy priorities for the military, written by the Armed Services Committee, and I serve on that committee. So we've been working on this actually for months, and we finally achieved final Senate passage last night. Look, it's not a perfect bill. It doesn't have a robust top line for funding our military that I would like. Unfortunately, President Biden's current budget shrinks the Army, shrinks the Navy, shrinks the Marine Corps. We're in a very dangerous time right now. So these are big concerns of mine. What I have been trying to focus on, and certainly focused on in this bill, I had over 32 amendments that were adopted into this bill, is making sure our military focuses on what all Alaskans believe it should focus on. Lethality, and if called to do so, ready to fight and win our nation's wars. That's what the military is all about. Some people in the Pentagon have forgotten that. We're trying to make sure they understand that. So this will go to a conference with the House committee, but we will likely pass this bill sometime in the early fall. I'm hoping. The NDAA has passed 65 years in a row. Very important. It was a bipartisan vote last night. Some members, Bernie Sanders, for example, had an amendment to cut the Defense Department by over 10%. That got rejected. So a good evening last night. There's a lot more work to do, but as you know, for Alaska, our military is so important. This bill continues the significant buildup of our military in Alaska with the recent announcement of a $200 million military construction and another $168 million of military construction. We're about $370 million of additional military construction for our state. Given how strategic we are, that's going to be important for our national security, but also for our economy and jobs. Next, been very focused. Of course, it's the summer in Alaska. Been very focused with legislation with regarding our fishing communities, our coastal communities. We had a great victory. A number of us were working together throughout the whole state, but particularly in Southeast, my office, there was litigation from some lower 48 radical environmental groups who were trying to stop our troll fishery in Southeast from fishing. This was a real battle all the way up to the Ninth Circuit. My team and I filed a brief in this lawsuit. So did many others, and we won. We have people fishing, thank goodness, thank God, in Southeast. We have another bill that we just introduced that's focused on the farm bill, but making sure that our coastal communities, that our farmers of the sea, as I like to call them, are treated, in a way with programs and support like American farmers get. This is a new idea. We have a number of new ideas that we're going to try and get in the farm bill, and that's something that's being worked on right now. We want to hear from you on some of these ideas, but we think it's an opportunity here to have the Office of the Department of Agriculture actually have a seafood and fisheries office to focus on American fishermen, coastal communities. And then finally, we know it's such a huge issue, we are now implementing my Salmon Research Task Force Act that was signed into law at the end of last year. This is focused on bringing the best minds, best scientists, Native Alaskans, traditional knowledge, state, federal, universities, on what are the big causes of our huge declines on some of our most important salmon runs. the Yukon King, the Kuskokwim King. These have been disastrous runs for our native communities, native villages. I am 100% focused on working with so many people, broad cross-section of stakeholders, and getting to the bottom of what's causing this, and then we can take action. Speaking of another challenge, I know some of you saw that I hosted the Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. Vivek Murthy, a couple weeks ago in Alaska for roundtable discussions on a real problem. This is the challenge of youth mental health. I think some of you have read about or seen these statistics, maybe even struggling with some of your young people in your house right now, dealing with depression, even suicide thoughts. The numbers in America, in Alaska, on these big challenges have gone through the roof, particularly after the pandemic. We really need to bring everybody together, state, local, private sector, families, the federal government, on how we make sure we have strong, resilient kids in America and in Alaska. I'm very committed to this. We just had a hearing on the Commerce Committee, which passed out one of the bills I co-sponsored, the Kids Online Safety Act, which provides new safeguards and controls for parents so their kids aren't addicted to social media, which is a challenge and a big problem when it comes to mental health. The Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule, another focused area that provides greater transparency for social media companies using addictive algorithms that keep kids focused on their phones. So we are very focused on this, not just the social media side, but some of the other challenges that we talked about a couple weeks ago during my roundtables back home in Alaska on mental health challenges. You have my commitment, mental health challenges for our youth, my commitment to continue to focus on that. I hope everybody's having a great summer. I'm, like I said, getting on a plane in a couple minutes. Looking forward so much to being home with my wife and kids and all of you. Thanks very much.